Today I want to take a closer look at the fall garden and some special steps we can take to get our fall garden off to a good start. Now, with the excessive heat and drought we've been experiencing, many people might think I'm a little crazy to be thinking about fall already, but late July and into August is really the ideal time to get our fall garden started. In fact, the heat that we've been experiencing and the drought, many of our vegetable crops from our summer crop might have gone south, but we can use fall gardens as an opportunity for a fresh start on some of our tender summer warm-loving crops like our beans, our cucumbers, and our squash. We could replant those for a fall crop and start our plants off on the right foot. We can also plant winter squash and pumpkins this time of year for a fall crop, and we'll want to get our slower cole crops like our broccoli, our cabbage, and cauliflower started towards the end of July, 1st to August. Now, as we move into August, we'll want to get our cool season crops started like our potatoes and our lettuce. We can also plant turnips and radishes as well. So there's a lot we could grow in our fall garden, but we want to take a few steps to get it started off right. And one of the biggest concerns is going to be soil moisture. And there's a few things we can do to conserve some of that moisture in our soil and actually target some of the moisture towards where we're planting. Now, of course, drip irrigation is ideal to use in our vegetable garden, and so that's going to help us a lot with keeping our seedlings and our seeds moist as they establish. But another thing we can do is to dig some shallow furrows in the soil. So we want to dig a little bit of a furrow in the soil, and what we'll do is actually put our seed into the bottom of that furrow and cover it with just a little bit of soil. And what this will do is lower those seeds down to a slightly cooler spot in the soil. But more importantly, it'll help us manage water. When we irrigate, we can just irrigate in the furrows. And this is really effective in a large garden, maybe not as essential in the square foot garden. But we can apply the water just where it's needed in the furrow rather than over the entire garden. And then that area is a little bit lower, so it'll stay a little bit more moist. Mulching, of course, will help. Now, there's certain seeds we don't want to mulch, like lettuces. They don't come up very well through the mulch, but that'll also help conserve soil moisture. Another thing we could do when we plant this time of year, the soil can be excessively hot, so we could take some measures to cool the soil, and the best way to do that is by providing shade. And I've established here just a simple shade structure using some burlap tied to poles. Boards also work. You can lay boards a little bit elevated over your garden. Once the seedlings emerge, you'd want to remove those boards, however, because they block too much light. And you can also use old screens from windows and such. There's a lot of options, but providing that shade will cool the soil and also, again, help with the soil moisture. Now, one final thing we want to consider with the fall garden is getting our seeds and our transplants. Sometimes it could be hard to find transplants this time of year. We could get around that, of course, by growing our own from seed, and we could reuse any seed we had left over from our spring planting. Seeds keep very well if we store them in a cool, dry place, like a refrigerator or a freezer. Especially for long-term storage, we want to use the freezer. We can also ask at the local farmers market. A lot of times, farmers will have extra transplants that they're willing to sell to gardeners. Another thing we want to do is look ahead to what our needs are going to be later in the year and start visiting your local garden center to see if the plants will be available. Request that they order them, and if they won't carry them, you can order some online. Want to pay particular attention to garlic and shallots because these can be very hard to find locally. You want to place your orders now, or if you still have some garlic or shallots left over from your harvest this summer, save a few heads of those and you can use those cloves to get next year's garden started.